AEW star Bryan Danielson has confirmed his participation on the disciplinary committee that terminated CM Punk from All Elite Wrestling. In addition to discussing Punk's exit from the company, Danielson has also discussed Punk's return to WWE this past weekend at Survivor Series War Games. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Bryan Danielson confirming his participation on the disciplinary committee that terminated CM Punk. A report that came out earlier this week from Fightful Select has now been confirmed by the American Dragon himself. Now, CM Punk was terminated by AEW following a situation at AEW All In by a quickly developed discipline committee, and Fightful reported earlier this week that they had learned more, largely because of a tweet that may have referenced it. So there's plenty to get into when it comes to this, including Danielson actually confirming his involvement in this. So previously, it was reported that Fightful had revealed that the long-rumored member of the committee, Megha Parekh, who is the chief legal officer of AEW, had actually stepped back a lot from her duties as AEW's chief legal officer by the time the disciplinary committee was actually formed, and actually had nothing to do with the committee and CM Punk's termination from All Elite Wrestling. Now, Fightful reported earlier on this week that they had since learned that AEW General Counsel Chris Peck, who assumed many of Parekh's responsibilities, was part of the three-person committee, along with an outside attorney. However, there was also one long-respected member of the AEW talent roster that was involved in Bryan Danielson. Now, Fightful said when asking sources on the AEW roster about Danielson's inclusion, one called him, quote, an appropriate moral compass who exemplifies objectivity, and said that he effectively headed up and was the face of the disciplinary committee. Danielson was said to have spoken to the roster when addressing them about Punk's termination from AEW and noted that the decision was a particularly hard one. He cited the positives that CM Punk brought and his long-standing friendship with Punk, but said that it was the decision that had to be made. Now, the reason that this came out was because earlier this week on November 27, Bryan Danielson tweeted this. He tweeted out the following tweet saying, quote, my dad always told me the right thing is often the hardest thing to do. It won't always make the most money. It won't always be the most popular, but it's still the right thing. Hashtag AEW. Now, as I mentioned, when this was put out earlier this week, people wondered, what is it about? It was actually quite cryptic. Now, Fightful reported previously that's actually what Danielson said when speaking to talent at a meeting months before. Now, Fightful said that they weren't really given any kind of indication regarding the decision-making process that occurred by the disciplinary committee. Those that Fightful spoke to said they believe CM Punk was aware by now that Danielson was part of said committee, as many of his friends were included in the meeting where Danielson addressed them, so he would have known. This is a continued duty for Danielson, as he's also responsible for handing out fines when necessary. Now, what should also be pointed out, and a really interesting report actually from Ibo of Wrestle Purists, who actually pointed out that really CM Punk actually might not have that much heat with Bryan Danielson for his involvement in said committee, because he might actually look at it as a situation whereby he goes, you know what, I wanted out of the company and Bryan Danielson basically actually helped me get out of the company. We've actually got footage of Danielson actually discussing this as well, because after the report came out this week, lots of people were wondering if indeed all of this was accurate, what was going on about it. Speaking on Maggie and Perloff, Danielson was asked about Punk's AEW departure and if he was actually part of the disciplinary committee as was reported, and Danielson confirmed that indeed he was part of it.
A recent report, it's a website called Fightful, had this report, Brian, that there was like a three-person sort of committee who was deciding the fate of CM Punk in AEW. They're reporting that you were part of the committee and the committee decided CM Punk should not be with AEW anymore. That report just came out a day or two ago. Is it true?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a part of the disciplinary committee, and clearly, what happened has happened. You know what I mean? And I'm somebody who I like CM Punk. You know, I think he brought a lot to AEW while he was there. But you know, there's not a lot I can say about it, or that I really want to say about it. But yeah, I am a part of it. It's really funny because there is, you know how the internet is. Like, it's like some people would say I was the head of the disciplinary committee. And I'm like, listen, there were more than 3 people involved in this decision, but most of them were all lawyers. To say that I was the head, I don't even have a college degree. Right? I'm not in there bossing people around or anything like that. It's just like, well, okay, So yeah, but yeah, I am part of the disciplinary committee.
Was that difficult as someone who likes Punk and is a friend of his? Was it difficult to be a part of that committee where the decision is that he should leave?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody who, I have a lot of empathy, but I'm grateful for the time he was able to spend in AEW, and he did a great job for us. And so yeah, I wish him the best in his future, and I hope that his run there goes well.
Now, when talking about this, as I mentioned, Iber of Wrestle Purists posted a follow-up tweet, which is quite interesting considering he has very close sources to CM Punk's camp. He said, quote, "Very candid and transparent answers from Bryan here. When I was told about this off record, the vibe I got about Bryan's feeling on this was essentially, quote, I like Phil, but he clearly doesn't want to be here anymore, nor should he. This has become untenable, so let's just all separate and move on. And it would appear that CM Punk is happy to move on now that he's back in WWE. Now, as far as Bryan Danielson himself, he appears to be slowing down in All Elite Wrestling as he enters his final year as a full-time professional wrestler. At All Out 2023, Bryan Danielson made his return from injury to defeat Absolute Ricky Starks in a strap match. Following the show, Danielson announced that he would be finishing up his full-time wrestling career in a year. This has led to many fans questioning what the future holds for the American Dragon. Speaking with The Athletic, AEW President Tony Khan provided an update on Bryan's future following the end of his full-time in-ring run. Khan said, quote, Bryan and I made an agreement 3 years to the week before AEW All In 2024. The agreement was that Bryan would wrestle full-time for 3 years. Even 3 years in advance of the expiration of the agreement, I was already calling for him to stay. He will stay with us in spirit and sometimes, occasionally, make sporadic appearances with us. But by the end of the full-time run with us, it's going to be in 2024. Danielson is set to face Eddie Kingston in the Blue League of the AEW Continental Classic Tournament under the December 2nd episode of AEW Collision, that being on Saturday. Also announced for the show, Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King, and Andrade Idolo versus Daniel Garcia in the other Blue League matches in the AEW Continental Classic. Of course, we get any more details on Bryan Danielson's future, and also if we get any more details on CM Punk's exit from AEW, which is still shrouded by quite a bit of mystery, we'll let you know. But what are your thoughts on Bryan Danielson confirming the report he was part of the disciplinary committee that terminated CM Punk? What are your thoughts in his comments suggesting that it's been overhyped, his involvement in it, and he did not lead it, as maybe some people would suggest as well? And do you think CM Punk particularly cares, or is he just happy to be out of AEW and now back in WWE? Let me know your thoughts about all of it in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.